I am taking a poll in the comment section of those top three. So Khamzat versus Diaz, if Diaz wins, and the other two that we just went over in the top two spots of the biggest upsets ever, you tell me what's your vote. You have to pick one. You have to pick one. You can't just do what I did. I'm copping out, dude. I am copping out, and I'm saying it's a three-way tie. But you guys, I want to hear from everybody, and I'm going to read every single comment, and then we're going to talk about it again, because this is actually, I gave it a three-way tie. It's impossible to pick one of those. If you really think about it, if you forget that you already know the outcome of those fights and really think about going into those fights, trying to pick the underdog that ended up winning, no one picked them to win. All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. So we've got a treat today. We are going to evaluate whether or not Nate Diaz over Khamzat Chimaev would be the biggest upset in UFC history. Okay? Because bottom line, I was thinking about it. I was like, I've seen some serious upsets, and a few of them come right to mind because I either bet on the underdog or whatever, anyway, we'll get into it. But so I'm like, let me look up the list. So I looked up the list of the biggest upsets in UFC history, and the criteria was based on the betting odds. Okay, so overcoming the largest betting odds spread to be is considered like a biggest upset or whatever. So I'm going to go through the top 8 biggest upsets ever, and then at the end we're going to evaluate whether or not Nate Diaz beating Khamzat Chimaev would be a bigger upset than all of them. Right, all of them, maybe even all of them combined. I'm just kidding. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, if you like the content, go ahead and subscribe and ring the bell. And then tell everybody that you know. I don't even know why I say that, dude. Tell everybody that you know. It's like, dude, seriously, are you being a good subscriber? Well, what do you mean? I don't know. Have you told everyone that you know about this channel? No. Why not? I don't really talk to people about what YouTube channels I watch. Well, that's something that can change today. How about you get a group email, every email you've ever sent to anyone, the list, every text message, just text message your entire phone book. This is Jesse on Fire. I watch his YouTube channel. Geez. Do you care about my success or not? What are we talking about? This video is off to a weird start. All right, so you guys understand the criteria. Now, why is this important? It's important because everyone should know going in whether or not that these are the stakes that Nate's up against, right? Is Nate chasing the biggest upset of all time? Is that what he's chasing, right? And thusly, let's just dive right into this thing and try to see if we can not be super weird. Okay, so we're going to do the top 10, actually. I just changed my mind. We're going to do the top 10. Now, you'll understand why I was going to start at number 8 when I tell you what number 10 is. So number 10 is Shayna Dobson over Agapova. That really, really famous fight when Agapova went down to Dobson, and she won by TKO in the second round. And since none of you guys, are aware of both of those fighters, most likely, or which fight I'm talking about, we'll just move right on. Now, number 9 biggest upset of all time was Joe Lozon over Jens Pulver. Now, for Jens Pulver to have been that big of a favorite in a fight, I assume we're going back 20 years, okay? 20 years. This was in 2002. Man, that is crazy. That was 20 years ago. I'm telling you right now, man, when you get older, things that don't seem like they were very long ago, you're like, wait, when was that? That movie came out in 2018. I'm like, 2018? That was 4 years ago? That seemed like it was a week ago. It's a really bizarre phenomenon. I think anybody that's a little bit older than you, 25-year-olds, will be able to tell you that all of a sudden 5 years doesn't feel like very long, Anyway, it's neither here nor there. So that's number 9, right? And I'm sure most of you guys do not remember that well enough to be able to evaluate it against Nate Diaz versus Khamzat Chimaev in 2022. Now we get into the ones that you'll probably remember, okay? Henry Cejudo over Demetrius Johnson is number 8. Now, let me tell you this. I picked him in that fight. That's one of the reasons why I love this video, is because I actually picked 2 of these winners. I bet on 2. Of the top 8, I bet on 2 of them. 2 of them. Demetrius Johnson, I bet on him in that fight, okay? Now, he won in, won by split decision, and it was at UFC 227. You know, he lost by knockout in the first round with that knee to the body in 197, and then they fought again in 227. But I had watched all of Cejudo's fights in between those two, and I was like, bro, he is a different fighter now. His stand-up is bananas now. Bananas. He looked so good in those fights in between. So anyway, so Henry Cejudo over Demetrius Johnson to win the 125-pound title. That is number 8. And for 100% sure, 1,000% sure, Diaz over Khamzat is a way bigger upset than that. Way bigger upset than that, right? Now, just to recap, if you guys saw a headline yesterday that said that I put up that says Nate Diaz will win at UFC 279, and you think that what that video actually contained, if you watched the video, was me saying that Nate Diaz is going to win the fight against Khamzat Chimaev, that's not what I say in that video at all. What I said is he's winning no matter what, because it doesn't matter if he wins or loses, because he's such an enormous underdog against Khamzat, and everyone knows it, that just the fact that he took the fight in the first place means he wins no matter what. He can't lose. He literally can't lose. The UFC, like the deck stacked so hard against him that he actually cannot lose this fight. That's what I said in that video. So I mean, anyway, we'll get into what my opinion is, whether or not it would be the biggest upset as we continue. Now, number 7, ready for this? I just realized I actually picked 3 of these right. Now, I didn't bet on this one, but I 100% bet, or 100% told my friends that Nate Diaz, actually, you know what? I take that back. That's not true. I take that back. Because what number 7 is Nate Diaz over Conor McGregor. Okay, that's not the one that I picked correctly. The one that I picked correctly was the rematch, where I picked Conor to beat Nate in the rematch. That one I got right. This one I don't even remember. I don't remember. But Nate Diaz over Conor McGregor is number 7. Now, in hindsight, it kind of seems ridiculous that he was that big of an underdog, given that Conor went up 2 weight classes, including jumping from 155 to 170 on 2 weeks' notice, right? Like on 2 weeks' notice, really? He should, I mean, again. But number 7 is Nate Diaz over Conor McGregor. And that started like think about how much money that Nate Diaz has made due to the outcome of that fight right there. Isn't that crazy to think about? Like, basically, he made 40 and 40 the fight before the Conor number 1. He got $500K for Conor number 1, which was the most he'd made in a fight by 100 miles. And in that bout agreement, it said if he wins, he gets the Dustin Poirier deal on the second one, which is if you win, then in the next bout, you get back in on the pay-per-view, a huge thing. That's how they get these guys to take these main event fights against Conor and not get paid very much, is they're like, if you win in the rematch, yada, yada. And so he got that, and he got $10 million for the second one. So good for him. Now, number 6, ready for this one? This one shocked the world. Okay. This is the first one that was like a legit world shocker, where everyone was like, impossible. Literally, everyone went into it like, this is impossible. This is one that, in my opinion, is an actual contender for the biggest upset of all time. And I'll tell you why I'm not going to give it the number 1. But it's Chris Weidman over Anderson Silva. The first one, obviously. Okay. Now, going into that fight, Chris Weidman got that title shot because Anderson Silva had cleared out the entire division 5 times. There was just no one there. He was a undefeated, basically, Chris Weidman at that point would be equivalent to giving Sean Brady 2 years ago, literally, like, not Sean Brady today, but or 2 fights ago, Sean Brady 2 fights ago, a shot at Kamaru Usman. That's exactly what this was like. There was just no one else there. Like, Anderson had beat literally every single person in that division. There's no one there. So they handed him Chris Weidman because they got to get Anderson in there. No one picked him to win that fight. And candidly, I still have a hard time giving, he beat him, dude. Bottom line, he beat him. He just kept, he did something. It's okay. Let me actually say this, because I have a lot of thoughts about that fight. So what I was going to say is it's hard to give full credit to a guy who won due to the other guy showboating and beating himself, right? Like, he essentially beat himself. Like, oh, look at, I'm just, oh. Now, he wins the fight for sure. But, Anderson beat himself essentially. That said, when Anderson started doing his showboaty shit, Chris Weidman just kept throwing punches, didn't get embarrassed, didn't let it throttle. He clearly had watched a bunch of tape, and everyone said, if he starts doing that showboaty shit, just throw bombs at him. Just keep on going. Now that can play, that can go against you as well. but he knocked him out. So congratulations to Chris Weidman, and that is number 6. Number 5. I bet on the winner of this one. This was my best call because I made a big deal out of it and I bet real money on it. And this number 5 is Rose Namajunas over you-know-who, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who was essentially, Anderson Silva of the 125-pound division. No one thought she was ever going to lose. She had just run through everyone. I mean, crazy streak like that. Rose had a recent loss, maybe like 2 fights before that or something like that, 2-3 fights before that. No one picked her. I picked her. I picked her because when I watched her against Paige Van Zandt, that's the fight where I was like, oh wow, she's a savage, man. Like I don't know, there's something about the build up too. Like I just had a really strong gut feeling that Rose was going to win, and I picked her, and she did. Okay, so that's number 5. Rose over Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Nate over either of those fights is still a bigger upset, in my opinion, for sure. Now number 4. This one I didn't pick or bet, but I said going in very, very there was nothing shocking at all if this underdog wins, and that's Holly Holm over Ronda Rousey. And I said that from the beginning that day. I was like, look, this is the first real deal striker she's ever faced. All she has to do is keep it standing, and she will win. It was hard to pick against Ronda at the time. She'd run through everybody. But that's like this as the number 4 upset. That's ridiculous. If I would have known whatever the betting odds were, I would have bet on Holly Holm, given how big the odds must have been. So Holly Holm over Ronda Rousey is number 4. That is not even close, not even remotely close to a similar level of upset that Khamzat versus Nate Diaz is. And I'm going to be honest, spoiler, we got the top 3. There's only one that is. And actually, I'm going to pick that one. Tell you that right now. That's the one I'm going to pick, at least as a tie, I think. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, all right, number 3. Michael Bisping over Luke Rockhold. That was a huge upset, especially because Rockhold had just stopped Bisping very recently. No one picked Bisping in that fight. No one. Now, one thing I think that they left off here is Conor over Aldo. Like, Conor over Aldo's not on this list. That was a huge upset, dude. I mean, not on the same level as these, but anyway, it's neither here nor there. But Bisping, congratulations, Bisping. The greatest night of your life, I would assume. An incredible, incredible job. And, man, I love that, dude. That fight, that was so great. Like, especially now looking back on it after having watched the documentaries, the one that he just put out, which is incredible, which you guys should for sure rent if you haven't yet. Or also, even if you have seen that one, you have to watch My Destiny on YouTube. It's free on YouTube. Search Michael Bisping, My Destiny. It's amazing, dude. But knowing all that and then looking back and then you see just the explosion of emotion out of him right after he won is just the best, man. Anyway, Bisping's the man, dude. So number two and number 1, we're in the ballpark. Okay. Number 2 is Matt Serra over George St. Pierre. Now that one, we are definitely having a real conversation about this being a similar level upset. Serra over GSP was not possible. I told Gabrielle, because we were dating back then, I told her if I had the ability to go and put my hands on $100,000 I would borrow $100,000 in cash so that I could go bet it on GSP to win $10,000 because I'm that positive he's going to win. There is no path to victory, no chance whatsoever that Matt Serra can win this fight. He's not even in the stratosphere of George on the feet. You think he's going to jiu-jitsu George? You think he's going to just do some slick jiu-jitsu and not be the next guy to get elbowed through the grit? He has no chance. There is no path to victory. He has a 0% chance of winning. I actually said those words to Gabrielle. It was the same day that I met her mom for the first time. Yep. That is how long me and Gabrielle have been together. The first night that I met her family was that night. Matt Serra over GSP. So that's number 2. Now that one, honestly, I'm gonna give a tie to that one. Diaz over Khamzat is the same level upset as Serra over GSP. That's a tie, dude. That's a tie. And number one, Juliana Pena over Amanda Nunes. That is equally insane. So bottom line, I've got a three-way tie at the top. I got a three-way tie. If Nate Diaz beats Khamzat, okay, I'm going to say that is equivalent to Juliana Pena over Amanda Nunes or Matt Serra over GSP. I don't think that one of those is bigger than the other. I think that's a three-way tie. Matter of fact, you got, in all seriousness, totally serious, I am taking a poll in the comment section of those top three. So Khamzat versus Diaz, if Diaz wins, and the other two that we just went over in the top two spots of the biggest upsets ever, you tell me what's your vote. You have to pick one. You have to pick one. You can't just do what I did. I'm copping out, dude. I am copping out, and I'm saying it's a three-way tie. But you guys, I want to hear from everybody, and I'm going to read every single comment, and then we're going to talk about it again, because this is actually, I mean, I gave it a three-way tie. It's impossible to pick one of those. If you really think about it, if you forget that you already know the outcome of those fights and really think about going into those fights, trying to pick the underdog that ended up winning, no one picked them to win. So anyway, I look forward to hearing what you guys think. I love you guys, and I'm out. We are going live very shortly to do the Jordan's raffle giveaway. That's all right. It will have already happened by the time you guys see this, but love you guys. Peace.